What's up, snappers? Welcome back to the channel. DDDREWSKY here. Today we're gonna be looking at the brand new card Infinity Ultron to see if he's worth your precious resources. We're gonna be looking at his key Synergies Counters and some decks that I brewed for him. But wait, before we do that, please like the video, please subscribe to the channel. I do weekly reviews of the brand new card in Marvel Snap, so if you don't want to miss out, hit that notification bell right now. Now let's get back into it. So now the question is, who is Infinity Ultron? Let's take a look. So Infinity Ultron in Marvel Snap is a 5-cost 6-power card with the on-reveal ability of add 2 Ultron stones to your hand. So there are 6 stones in total. Let me explain what they are. So the first stone that we have is called the Ultron Space Stone. This is a 3-cost 4-power card with the on-reveal ability of move the lowest power enemy card here to the location of Infinity Ultron. So the next stone that we have is called the Reality Stone. It's a 3-cost 1-power card with the on-reveal ability of add a drone here, set its power to Infinity Ultrons. The next stone that we have is called the Time Stone. It's a 3-cost 1-power card with the on-reveal ability of put a card from your hand here. So next we have the Mind Stone. It's a 3-cost 2-power card with the ongoing ability of your on-reveal abilities here happen twice. All right, the next stone that we have is called the Power Stone. It's a 3-cost 2-power card with the on-reveal ability of double Infinity Ultron's power. And the last stone that we have is called the Soul Stone. It's a 3-cost 3-power card with the on-reveal ability of for each of your full locations, give one of your cards their +2 power. So initial thoughts of Infinity Ultron, I believe he's going to be a very fun card. The stones have a very unique and really cool abilities. I believe if you are a Thanos enjoyer, you're definitely going to enjoy Infinity Ultron. Or if you like Kate Bishop, very similar in ability, giving you 2 cards to be able to be played the next turn. The cost is a little bit worrying, but we will analyze and see if he's worth your precious resources. Now let's take a look at the pros and cons of Infinity Ultron. So the first pro that I want to talk about is that it has great utility with the stones. Like I've explained, there are a lot of unique abilities or situations or a lot of combo potential with all these stones. So I will explain some of the synergies with the decks that I brewed. There are some, there's technically infinity, possibilities with this card with the stones. So it's a very easy on curve play. He's a 5-cost. The stones are 3 costs, so in order, technically, you should always be playing Infinity Ultron, and then the stones follow up with them, or you could play, other cards in your hand. But again, it allows for a very easy curve play. So with the Power Stone, he becomes a 12-power card, or in a way, if you can possibly juice him up even more in power, he could double up that power. So 12 power for a 5-cost is definitely above curve. You do have to rely a little bit on RNG. It's not as easy as like Gamora. Gamora is a 5-cost, potentially a 12-power card. So I would say definitely for a 5-cost, it's definitely really good if you can draw that stone to juice them up in power. So now let's talk about the cons: late turn and high cost. Unfortunately, Infinity Ultron is a 5-cost card and his stones are 3-cost. So you're kind of stuck with playing in that order of like a turn 5, turn 6 with playing the stones after him. He would be definitely a lot better if he was a 4-cost card or lower, but I could see why his stones are very strong and they don't want him to be super, easy to play. So I definitely see the reason why they have him at a 5-cost, but we'll see. Maybe in the future he'll get buffed to a 4-cost or lower. So the stones don't get added to the deck. You have to play him. He's just like Kate Bishop, where he generates those stones in your hand. Unfortunately, he's not like Thanos, where Thanos gives you those stones in your deck and you can just draw him. But unfortunately, you're kind of stuck in a way where you have to play him in order to get those good stones. So turn 5 is a crucial turn. If you don't draw a good stone from him, then you might be straight out of luck. A 5-6 is pretty bad on curve for a turn 5 play. So if you don't have anything to juice him up, or if you don't have any, very powerful play by turn 5 or turn 6, then more than likely you're going to lose the game. Now let's take a look at some of his key synergies and counters. So the first synergy that I want to talk about is Silver Surfer. Of course, the stones are 3 costs, so potential of a Silver Surfer
the candidate of working in that deck.
Patriot is another synergy of Infinity Ultron. A few of his stones work well with Patriot. I will explain in the decks that I brewed for him. So Quinja is another great synergy with Infinity Ultron. Those stones are created in your hand, so the synergy should work and discounting those stones.
Now let's talk about the counters. Cosmo is a great counter against Infinity Ultron. Infinity Ultron, of course, is on reveal, so Cosmo should stop him. Shang-Chi is a counter for Infinity Ultron, especially if you double up in the power of Infinity Ultron. So the timing might be weird, but you can definitely counter Infinity Ultron with Shang-Chi. Shadow King is another great counter for Infinity Ultron. There's a stone that adds +2, and if you double up the power of Infinity Ultron, Shadow King can reset him back to 6 power.
Now let's take a look at the decks that I brewed. I think they're pretty fun and competitive. Let's take a look.
So the first deck that we have is called Infinity Surfin.
This is my iteration or take
On the Silver Surfer archetype. I believe that Infinity Ultron and his stones that are 3 costs
will definitely work well with Silver Surfer. Nova is a great turn 1 play, definitely setting him up and then destroying him with Killmonger. Iron Patriot is one of the best 2-cost cards in the game. You can definitely follow him up with Juggernaut or Cassandra Nova or even Brood. More than likely, you should be able to win that lane and get a good random 4, 5, or 6-cost card.
Cassandra Nova is a great situational counter card, especially if you're facing a Arishem or Thanos type list.
Brood is just a staple in a Silver Surfer list, definitely can win its own lane. And Brood works very well with Galacta. You definitely want to use Galacta and then Brood. Silver Surfer, definitely save him for the later turns. What a great finisher for this 3-cost card list.
Juggernaut, one of the best underrated tech cards in the game. You could definitely win that lane potentially at the end of the game and just push all those cards away from his lane.
Killmonger, like I mentioned, definitely use him with Nova or counter those 1-cost cards on your opponent's side. Red Guardian is one of the best counter cards in the game right now, especially those pesky ongoing cards or even Dracula.
You can even use him with Luna Snow and disable their Ice Cube. Sebastian Shaw is definitely our power card in this list. You can pair him up with Galacta or even Silver Surfer, juice him up in power. Luna Snow is here to cheat out energy and especially get out potentially Infinity Ultron early, maybe by turn 4.
Galacta, like I mentioned, is to power up cards like Sebastian Shaw, Brood, or any of these other cards in your list. Infinity Ultron by turn 5 is totally fine, or if you can, play him by turn 4 and then get those stones.
So the stone that you want to aim with Infinity Ultron is the Mind Stone. The Mind Stone repeats the on reveal abilities, so you could even repeat the ability of Silver Surfer, so you kind of have like a mini Wong in a way.
Now let's take a look at my second list. So this list is called Infinity Ongoing. This is my iteration or take on the Patriot archetype. I believe Infinity Ultron and his stones will work well with Patriot.
So the ideal goal of this list is to fill up as much lanes as possible and then reap all the benefits of the drones.
So for turn 1, Ant-Man and Zabu are great options. Ant-Man, if you want to fill up a lane that you know you're going to fill up, make sure you play Ant-Man there.
Zabu's here to discount cards like Super Skrull, Captain Carter, or Moonstone.
Goliath is a staple in ongoing lists. Definitely a lot of ongoing cards in this list, so he'll get tremendous value here.
Dazzler, you definitely want to play her in a lane that you know you're going to be filling up, so play Dazzler there.
Sam Wilson, Captain America is basically 2 ongoing cards in 1, so he's a staple in ongoing list. Patriot is our ace in this list, especially juicing up cards like the drones. Captain America is here to have synergy with any of the ongoing cards here and with Captain America's shield. Super Skrull is great against any ongoing mirrors that you will be facing.
Captain Carter is a great addition to this list, especially if you're filling up lanes. Those cards in the back row are going to get tremendous value.
Moonstone is great in this list, especially being paired up with Goliath, Dazzler, Patriot, or even Captain America. A lot of value in just doubling up their effect. So the main stones that you want to aim for are the Reality Stone, because it adds a drone here and then sets a power to Infinity Ultron. So if you get Infinity Ultron to like a 12 power, or if he is even a 6 and you power up the board with just a 6 power drone, it's pretty good. And then for the Time Stone, you could be putting any of the cards from your hand here, which is good in a Patriot style list when you're trying to fill up those lanes. So Time Stone has tremendous value here. So another stone that you want to aim for is the Soul Stone. The on reveal says for each of your full locations, give one of your cards there +2 power.
So if you could add more power to those full locations,
Soul Stone has great value here. Now let's take a look at my third and final list. So this list is called Infinity Energy. So this is my take on the Wiccan style list, creating cards, generating power on the board, and just throwing off your opponent. So Maria Hill,
Quinjet, Snowguard, Zabu are great turn 1 options. More than likely, you definitely want to play Maria Hill just to play on curved, so she generates a 2-cost card for you, and it helps for Wiccan value. Quinjet, discounting all these generated cards is amazing.
Snowguard is here if you need to have 3-cost cards in your list for Wiccan. She's great with the Snowguard, Bear, and the Hawk. Zabu is here to discount Moon Girl, Kahori, or Wiccan. Tremendous value if you can get Zabu on turn 1. Collector is here to benefit from all the card generation. If you could have Collector on the board and then Snowguard, Maria Hill, or any of these cards that create cards,
he just keeps growing in power. Hawkeye K Bishop is like a mini Infinity Ultron, creating 2 arrows, brings value to the collector. Victoria Hand with all these created cards, generating that +2 power for each of those cards is really good.
Frigga is here to copy any of the cards that you want to copy again. I would say the main target is definitely Victoria Hand. Tremendous value if you get another Victoria Hand on the board. Moon Girl is really here for Kahori to get a really big hand size, and then you can flood the board with a lot of power with Kahori. Wiccan is here, of course, to get that max energy. The more energy that you get, more benefit of being able to play all the cards in your hand or play the stones from Infinity Ultron. So if you can play Wiccan on curve and getting that max energy, it could help out with the stones and being able to be played with Infinity Ultron. So for Infinity Ultron and the stones here, it doesn't really matter which stones you get. It has just a lot of synergy with like the collector or Kahori. Getting just a big hand size is really good.
So it really depends on the situation. If you want to juice up, Infinity Ultron's power or repeat on reveal abilities, I think those stones are pretty good to aim for.
Now let's take a look at the spotlights that are featured with Infinity Ultron. So Infinity Ultron is with Cannonball and Pixie. Infinity Ultron is a Series 5 card, Cannonball Series 4, and Pixie Series 4. Unfortunately, I would say Cannonball and Pixie are passable cards. Cannonball is great in Clog, but that's really
Only his home. So if you like Clog, sure, go for him, but he's not really a plug and play card, so I definitely say he's not a must-have. Pixie, of course, is a very fun card, but again, she's very niche and she's not really meta, so I would definitely say she's a possible card.
But for the
Spotlight variants, I really enjoy all 3 of them. The Infinity Ultron looks amazing. Cannonball, the explosion behind him looks great. And then the Pixie looks very uwu anime.
So remember, guys, to have 4 keys before opening in a Spotlight week. You definitely don't want to regret on missing out on a card or a variant that you really want. So make sure to save up those keys.
Now let's take a look at the community predictions for Infinity Ultron. So the community said S tier 2 stars, A tier 3 stars, C tier 3.5 or a third star, F tier 2 stars. So the community is kind of torn on A and C. Majority is a little bit leaning towards C. I'm a little bit worried and cautious about the card as well, but they're kind of skeptical in a way. So here's a review from the community. Thank you again, Undead Eggmeister, for your response. They said, honestly, my biggest concern is the randomness of him. Some of his stones are amazing, but others are meh, and only get 2 of them. Maybe if they buff him to give 3 stones, I'd say he's an A card, but at this rate, he feels like a fun C card. Definitely the randomness is worrying. I know people are a little bit skeptical about like Kate Bishop. It really depends on which arrows you get. If you get certain stones, it's really good, but yeah, not having any agency on what stones you get is a little bit worrying.
And the mention about 3 stones or lowering the amount of stones is definitely a good call. Having a chance of like 2 out of the 6 stones that you really want is kind of rough. So
we'll see how, viable or how consistent those stones are. Again, it is worrying about like, oh, if I get a certain stone and I'm playing a certain archetype and it doesn't work well with me, then Infinity Ultron is kind of a dud. Thank you again for your response. If you want to be featured in the next video, make sure to follow my
community post about the brand new card.
Now let's take a look at my star ratings for Infinity Ultron. So for competitive, I gave him a 3 stars. I believe he definitely has potential, but his cost
and some of the stones and even the randomness is a little bit worrying. So I would definitely say 3 stars is fair for him. For fun, I would say 5 stars. Of course, those abilities of the stones are insane, especially if you draw the ones that you really want. I definitely see a lot of people having fun with this card. The randomness is kind of fun in a way, and I definitely see some potential with him as a really fun card in Marvel Snap. Flexibility,
3 stars. You saw the decks that I brewed, and they are a lot different, but again, hopefully one day we will see the home of Infinity Ultron. We will see, you know, what works well with him. But I would say on average, I would say 3 is good for him. For future changes, 2.5 stars. I would say hopefully in the future they buff him, maybe lower his cost.
maybe lower the amount of stones, maybe lower the cost of those stones. I definitely think he definitely deserves a buff. I'm not sure if he really needs a nerf unless people are able to figure out, you know, what's broken with him. But I would say 2 stars is fair for him.
So is Infinity Ultron a snap or skip? Let's take a look. So for pre-Series 3 owners, unfortunately, very rough. You won't have a lot of the cards that synergize well with Infinity Ultron. The decks that I brewed are not featuring a lot of the cards that you might have. So I definitely say skip if you don't need or, you know, like him, or if you're on the fence with him. Definitely say skip for you. So for Series 3 owners, I would say 3 stars. I think you do have a majority of the cards that work well with them, but you are going to be missing a lot of the cards that will push them over the edge to be great. So 3 stars is fair for that. So for Series 4 and 5 owners, I gave him a 3.5 stars. You're going to be having some of the cards that work well with him, but more than likely, you might be missing some of the really good Series 5 cards that push him over the edge of being great. So I would say 3.5 stars. The archetypes that he works well with are Surfer, Ongoing, and Shield. And with that being said, unfortunately, I say Infinity Ultron is a skip for most people. I would say if you like fun, definitely go get Infinity Ultron if you think his stones are really good in your wheelhouse.
But him being a 5-cost card, those stones being 3 costs, I would say definitely puts him very niche in the very certain scenarios. Like you have to play him on either turn 5 or earlier. You can ramp him out early, sure, he might be really good.
But definitely leaning towards the fun side. And if you like competitiveness, he's definitely not super there. Maybe he has potential to be there, but maybe in the future he'll get buffed. But right now, I don't see him being like a super must-have. So let me know your thoughts on Infinity Ultron. Am I completely wrong? Did I miss any synergies? Did I miss any decks that he works well with? Let me know in the comments below. And if you found this video useful, please give it a like. Please subscribe to the channel. I would love for you to be a part of this amazing community here on YouTube. And I'll see you guys in the next Snap or Skip. Happy snapping.